Well, hello everyone, it's Colin Archibald here. I want us to start looking at JavaFX. And for a long time we have been working with Swing in Java to build the front end, the user interface. And the Swing classes are getting a little old, and they were never really perfect in the first place. So FX, JavaFX, it's been around for a long time, surprisingly. JavaFX 1.0 was unusable, and that was a long time ago, and it kind of lost favor, and it lost momentum, and now it's being revived. So it's time to look at JavaFX again, and in order to get going with learning JavaFX, I claim that there's 5 things, and the first one we're going to deal with right now. We have to believe that JavaFX is a good thing to learn, to invest in. It's not going to be easy, and if we're going to become good at it, it better be worth it, because we're not going to try and become good at something else a week after we become good at this one. So let's explore whether we think we should be going down this path, and everyone can make their own decision on this path. Unless you're my student, then you have to agree with me. I hope you're smiling there. Okay, so what would you have to do to learn JavaFX? Set up our machine so that we can program with FX as we learn it. Then start to have a conceptual understanding of what it is and what it can do. Find out what the starting place is, what are the building blocks for designing and implementing of the GUIs in FX, and then the hard part, the specific understanding of how to use it, how to become good at it, make usable, not just usable, good user interfaces using JavaFX. Well, going to the first one, why should we be doing this? Why do we believe it? Why not use something else? Why? Well, what are the alternatives to it? What are the something else's? And there's the ones that we've been using for Java front end in the desktop applications for a long time, the Swing classes, and the alternate set of classes, the SWT classes, created by a group out of IBM, most famously used to create Eclipse, and very nice tools. SWT classes, fewer bugs than the Swing classes. The Swing classes, excuse me, the Swing classes came about in Java 1.2, which we called Java 2 for a little while. Because it was significantly enough different from Java 1 to have a new number, Java 2. We're doing the same thing again. Most recently, we're on Java 8. So the release of Java 1.8, that's the version number with the marketing name of Java 8, has happened again, and it includes JavaFX. So, other than those built-in class libraries for Swing and the add-on class libraries, the SWT, you could go outside of Java and use some proprietary third-party commercial product for building a user interface, and the ones that I can think of right now are from Adobe, the Flex, which has mostly gone away, I think. And okay, it was really nice, but don't bother going back. And Adobe Air. And then there's all of the possible web-based things. So HTML5 especially, JavaScript and things that generate JavaScript, and all of this web stuff. And I threw Oracle Java specific things in this category as well. I'm not sure if I should. JSPs and servlets and the Java server faces. I threw them into this as possible alternatives to JavaFX, although it's arguable that those really aren't alternatives to FX. Those are different kinds of things. Um, I'm probably going to argue that they are alternatives. We'll get there. Okay, so let's go to talk about Swing and SWT. There's good and bad about it. There's a whole lot of them around. There's a whole lot of people around who are good at it. We've been teaching it in colleges for a decade or more. Yeah, more. Lots of people know how to build applications in Swing. And there's bugs in it. There have always been bugs in it. They have driven people crazy. The layout managers are difficult. The grid bag layout is the most powerful of the layout managers in Swing, and it's ugly and allows you to over-constrain things. It's just a problem. It's just a problem. There's very few people who got really good at using everything that the layout managers can do. And it's highly integrated into the code. So you write code. This was the only way to do it when it first came out. You write code that generates the user interface. There was no drag and drop GUI builder. And even when there did get to be some drag and drop GUI builders integrated into the IDEs, like Window Builder and well, NetBeans, I don't know if it had a name, but it has a fairly nice drag and drop editor for Swing GUIs. It still generates Java code. So the representation, the coded representation of the user interface is Java. And that means that the development and the maintenance of the user interface is very programmer oriented. A programmer is required all the time to maintain the user interface. That might not be what we want. User interfaces developed in these tools look like user interfaces created by programmers. And some people refer to this as battleship gray business applications. Maybe that's good enough, but what people really are favoring now is interfaces that are a little more splashy, a little more artistic, have colors that kind of look good together, and we don't even talk about user interface as much as we talk about user experience. So the user experience, and should it be the programmer who is designing the user experience? And I think that the big thing that's wrong with Swing right now, the big disadvantage that it has that would argue for us moving away from it, is that it doesn't recognize as a technology, it doesn't have a built-in way of recognizing the merging of the user interfaces among the web apps and desktop apps. And I would add even there in the mobile apps. So mobile app development, web app development, and desktop app development. The dogs agree with me here. These are, you can't deal with all of these using Swing. It's integrated in a very tightly coupled way with building Java desktop applications. So the problem with going to another party to buy some tools that you can use to build the user interface for your applications. They're expensive, they're closed, they come and go. The life cycle of them is shorter than the life cycle of the apps you're going to build. And everyone takes shots at them. And if Oracle releases a new version that doesn't agree with the tools that you're using, then you have some conflict and you're going to have to adjust. Well, I'm not willing to put myself in that position. I would just rather use the tools that have the fewest people shooting at them, or the best defense against people who are shooting at them. So I'm kind of ruling that one out without even doing very much research in there. And web tools is the other big one. So there is a couple of different schools of software development, and literally that's true. There are different schools within colleges where some people come up learning web development and some people come up learning programming. And it's often true that the web development classes and degrees are coming out of an arts department where the programs have to do with design, and the programming tracks are on computer science, where neither of these are really what we need to be doing. We need to be doing applied computing and programming with design in it, and that's very, very difficult to find. So we have this whole school of people who are good at HTML, cascading style sheets, JavaScript, scripting languages all over the place, and tools that are tacked onto scripting languages. And if you just use something like HTML to build the front end for your applications, you're going to be running in the browser. You're going to be creating a very thin client. A very thin client with lots of trips back and forth from the server for everything. And because that's very expensive, then we're going to tack stuff onto it like Ajax with all of the JavaScript misnamed JScript or ECMAScript like things tacked onto it. And then when you go to run the application, it's not going to look the same depending on how the browser decided to render it. So, browser hell. You work really hard to make it look right and get it the way that you want it to be, and then you open it in a different browser and everything flies all over the place. Okay, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's kind of where I find myself a lot of times, and I'm just viscerally have this thing going on where I'm not willing to go there. I am not willing to put my effort in that direction so that someone can misrender something that I did for competitive advantage. And then I have to go and try and figure out how to correct my work to get around things that they did intentionally that were non-standard. And it's tough. It's tough. So even if you go with the Java solutions, like the ones that have been around forever in JEE, the JSP servlet route, it still generates HTML and it spits stuff onto a web page, and the distributed apps are based on HTTPS protocols. Java server faces have made some progress, and some people will argue that Java server faces shouldn't be discussed at the same time as JavaFX, that Java server faces are a different technology specifically for web apps, and JavaFX should be discussed only in terms of building user interfaces for desktop applications. And I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that there's any such thing as a desktop application that is not aware of the web. So there's all of this stuff competing out there. And how are we going to decide? We can't learn all of them. We can't make a decision on each one. it would take the rest of our career. Oh, in fact, it wouldn't. It would never be able to catch up with all of the new ones that are coming out. So it's just Google for building a front end for your Java applications. There's thousands of pages of opinions on this, and we have to boil this down so that we can make a reasonable decision. So what are the important considerations? And the first thing for me to say is that it doesn't matter what you can demonstrate. Anything can be demonstrated, and it can look very, very good. Seeing someone's demo doesn't interest me. How can we know whether something is practicable? That means that it can be put in practice in a practical way. And a good choice for your efforts, where your efforts, a big part of your effort is going to be in learning and getting good at creating your user interfaces using these technologies. So for me, the second consideration is who renders the GUI? Who is in charge of drawing the buttons and the menus and the drop downs? And if it's the browser, I'm out. So how many different browsers are there? Well, you can say, well, some of them aren't used very much. You don't have to support those ones. Well, it's just not where I want to go. If you depend on the browser, you're depending on this version of this browser, and your software might not work in the next version of that browser, or it might not look the same. Well, okay. I don't want someone else to be in the position of rendering my code not usable, or rendering my code, of making my code look different in different places where it might be seen. And I also need the code to be managed. And if you don't know what managed code is, we're not going to quite get there from here, but it has to do with where the code is running. If it's inside of the JVM, then that's a good thing. If it's just kind of running out there in the browser someplace or on some other script interpreting engine, then when something goes wrong, you have a hard time finding out what to do about it. One of the most important things about this decision is who supports it, who is backing it. And we're going to make a big investment in our time. If it's Oracle or Google or Microsoft, I'm in. Maybe I'm in if IBM is backing it. Not as much anymore. If it's a fad, if it's some startup who thinks that they're going to create something good and take it public and make $1 million because it's really, really cool, and it's all open source and it's all free, it's the kind of granola vegetarian kind of technology, well, okay, that's all nice. I'm not going to put a big investment there. So who's backing it? So when I think about JavaFX and read about JavaFX in all of these scenarios, what I am getting to now is that JavaFX is a good thing. Let me see if I can convince you based on what I'm looking at, what I'm reading. So we're separating the user interface, the user experience design, and the coding, if you want to. So you can make your user interface, your user experience design in FXML, which is an XML-like language. You might know that Microsoft has done something similar with .NET, that the user interface is represented now in XAML, XAML. And Google's Android development has the same kind of thing. That the user interface is created in XML, and the GUI builders don't have to be the same tools that the programmers are using in all of those cases. So who controls the rendering? In this case, because JavaFX is part of the Java Standard Edition, it's going to be Java. So it's always going to do the same thing. We don't have the browser hell issue, at least the current version. The next version of Java, they might fix something or change something and it will look a little bit different, but at least we're under control of, we're using the same kind of technology from the same company. The FX technology recognizes the blurring of the desktop and the web and the mobile application. These are kind of becoming one thing, which is software development, and we're going to stop saying this is a desktop application that just runs standalone. Software will not run standalone. It will always, useful software will know about the internet going on behind it, and the internet will be there all the time now. That's kind of a given. FX seems to have a strong support within Java, and it's nicely integrated as of Java 8, and it's renamed to JavaFX 8. Some nice tools are coming out of Oracle for this, and I think that Oracle, and this one is a little bit of a guess from my perspective, Oracle and Android. People think that Google owns Android, but they don't. Android is the Android Open Source Project, AOSP. If you want to take the source code from Android and build your own product out of it and change the source code for Android, you can do that. The Amazon Kindle Fire TV, and Fire Phone are examples of that. And Oracle needs a way of playing in this game, and I think that FX8 is probably one of those. That's a little bit of a guess. They're not about to announce something like that. I will tell you that today is October of 2014, and that's my prediction. We have the chance of keeping our team size smaller by using technology from one company. I don't want to have a whole bunch of web developers that are required to make my Java projects successful. Some of this is what I'm just not willing to do, whether it would work or not. I'm not willing to have a team of web designers working with a team of web programmers. It just doesn't work well. It doesn't mean it can't ever work well. It means that it doesn't work well most of the time. The other thing that I think that is a strength of JavaFX is that if you read all of the people who are blogging in this area and on the discussion boards of various types, the people who seem to make sense to me are leaning towards the success of this technology. So I think it's time. I think we have to add JavaFX to our skills. We have to put it into our classes. We have to, even if industry is still hanging on to all of their applications using Swing, we have to start saying this is the new thing that's going to be successful and we are going to be the experts in it. Let's make the investment. Let's start right away. In the next segment, we're going to set up our machines to program using JavaFX, and then we'll start on those other things that we listed right at the beginning. The high-level view of what it does, and right down into the nitty-gritty of how to get good at making the user interfaces. I'll see you next time.